All right, today we're diving into a really important topic for any workplace. What happens when things go wrong? But we're going to forget the typical whodunit. See, this isn't about finding a culprit, it's about hunting for a cure. It's a huge shift from finding someone to blame to finding a system to fix. So let's get into it. I mean, really think about it. When something goes wrong, our first gut reaction almost always is to figure out who messed up. But what if that's the completely wrong question to be asking? What if focusing on the who is the very thing that stops us from finding the much more powerful answer to why?
And that's where this new mindset comes in. It's called the systemic approach. This is all about looking beyond just one person, to see the whole picture. The environment, the processes, even the culture that all might have played a role in letting the incident happen in the first place.
I love this metaphor because it just nails the concept. A traditional investigation, it finds the bad apple and just gets rid of it. Problem solves, right? Well, not really. A systemic investigation asks, hey, what's wrong with the barrel? Is the procedure confusing? Is the equipment kind of worn out? Is there just too much pressure to rush things? It's about fixing the system, not just pointing a finger at one person. And when you put these two approaches side by side, wow, the difference is night and day. The traditional way, the one focused on blame, it just creates fear. And when people are afraid, they stop talking about near misses and small problems. The exact warnings that could prevent the next big accident. But the systemic approach, because it's focused on prevention, it builds a culture of learning where everybody feels safe to speak up. And that leads to real, lasting safety improvements. Okay, so that's the big idea. But how do you actually do this? Well, it all kicks off in those first few critical hours right after an incident. This is where you gather all the physical clues and the human perspectives that are going to guide your entire investigation. Your priorities on site are pretty straightforward, but they are absolutely vital. First, you've got to secure the scene. Preserve the evidence exactly as it is. Second, document everything. I mean everything. Photos from every angle, sketches, notes on where equipment was. And third, identify anyone who might have seen or heard something. These 3 steps are the foundation for everything else you're going to do. And right here, this is that mindset shift in action. In a systemic investigation, people aren't suspects to be interrogated. No, they are crucial sources of insight. Their perspective is like a window into what the workplace is actually like on a totally normal day, which is essential for understanding how the system really works, and more importantly, where it broke down. Now, let's get into the arts of the interview. This isn't an interrogation, it's a conversation. It's all about building enough trust to get the real, unvarnished story. And that means you have to ask the right questions in the right way. A good interview always starts with creating a safe space, somewhere private and comfortable. You have to tell them right up front, hey, the whole point of this is to prevent this from happening again, not to point fingers. That helps people relax. Then ask open-ended questions like, can you just walk me through what happened? Instead of, did you skip the safety check? And here's a big one. Ask them to compare what was typical for that task versus what was different or unusual that day. That's usually where you find the gold. And just as important as the do's are the don'ts. Whatever you do, don't ask leading questions that basically plant an answer in someone's head. And resist that urge to interrupt or jump to your own conclusions. You've got to keep your language totally neutral, not accusatory. Remember, your job is to understand their story, not to confirm a theory you already have in your head. Okay, so you've gathered all the facts, you've heard the stories. Now it's time to put all those pieces together into a report that doesn't just say what happened, but builds a really strong case for real, meaningful change. And the heart of this report, the real engine for change, is the systemic recommendation. So it's not going to say operator needs more training. No, it targets the root cause. For example, instead of retraining someone who tripped, a systemic fix might be something like install permanent, high-visibility floor marking around the hazard and improve the lighting in this area. See the difference? One blames a person, the other fixes the environment for everybody. A really strong report is built on facts, not opinions. It analyzes all the different things that contributed, confusing procedures, the wrong tools, pressure to get things done fast, even poor communication. It's kind of like that Swiss cheese model, right? Where all the little holes in your different layers of safety just happen to line up perfectly. Your job is to find those holes and recommend a few high-impact ways to plug them that will make the biggest difference.
But listen, and this is so important, a report is just paper. It doesn't actually prevent anything on its own. It is completely useless without the final, most critical step, rigorous follow-up. The real work actually starts after you submit the report.
I really want this to stick with you. A report by itself is just a story about something that already happened. But when you actively follow up on those recommendations, you turn that story into a living, breathing roadmap that guides your whole organization toward a safer future. This is where the real change happens.
And that follow-up needs a system. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful cycle. For every single recommendation, you assign an owner, a specific person, not a department. Give them a clear deadline. Track the progress where everyone can see it. It keeps people accountable. And finally, and this is key, once the fix is in place, you have to go back and check that it's actually working. That's how you close the loop and make sure the problem is truly solved. So we end up right back where we started, with a question for you. The next time something goes wrong, whether it's at work or anywhere else, just listen. Listen to the questions people are asking around you. Are they hunting for a scapegoat, or are they genuinely searching for a solution? Because understanding that one difference, well, it can change everything.